Okay, Wednesday's live, December 4th. Coming on the heels of what's been not a good streak. And you'll always get the most transparency from me. Because in the end, we're going to win. And that's what we do. But a rough fucking night. And we're going to talk. I don't cry. I hate guys that cry like suckers when we lose. But we are going to talk about some games last night that just were absolutely fucking brutal. And, well, as I said, we'll wait till some guys get in here. So, an 0-2 night last night. I didn't give you guys any straight out bets. Gave you some leans. One of our bets, Memphis Grizzlies. And that's the game I'm talking about. Memphis Grizzlies, 15-point fourth quarter lead, taking 4. At one point, we were a 99% to cover. Just try to fathom this. I want you guys to try to fathom this. We're 98% to cover. Up 14 in the fourth, taking 4, dominating the whole second half. Referees did a job last night. Ben Taylor, Scott Corbin, Jenna Schroeder, they did a job. Memphis Grizzlies shot just 14 free throws. The Memphis Grizzlies go to the line. They're 5th in the NBA in trips to the free throw line. So Grizzlies got 14 free throws. Dallas still a little better than average. They're 9th in the league. They got 44 free throws. If you outnumber your other team 2-1 in free throws, huge advantage. You can't play it 3-1. There's no, you can't even that up. You cannot even up 3-1 in free throws. So an absolutely brutal fucking job by the referees. And again, I'm not one of these guys that cry and it's fixed and it's whatever, but I will mark down those particular referees and see if there is a trend. So our eyes are on you, you dirty motherfuckers. As I said, 14-44, that's not a game. No way a team can win under those circumstances. This is, excuse me guys, right side wrong result. Clay and Kyrie both played great. They sucked last night. I think Clay went 1 for 5 in 20 minutes. Kyrie, was it 3 for 14? Let me pop it up, men. 3 for 14. 0 for 4 from deep. Look, yeah, Luka had his game. Of course, we know Luka's supposed to have his game. But you have lopsided free throws like that. Anyway, a fourth quarter absolute fucking meltdown. And I take losing with the best part of the game. But this was a tough one to swallow. San Antonio game also, we took Spurs plus 7.5. And Wemby comes with a 0. I mean, just the 0, nothing. Coming off a triple-double, Wemby comes 6 for 18, 1 for 9 from 3. Wemby, you're not feeling it, Bo. You pass it up. Devin Vassell, 10 for 14, 4 for 5 from 3. Maybe give him the ball a little bit. Absolutely brutal. Jeremy Sokin comes back. I knew he was coming back. He gives us 14 points and 12 boards. And as I said, just no way supposed to not cover the San Antonio game. Yeah, they've been down 11.5, but you were in that 11 whatever number. They cut it down in the third quarter. Now without KD, you've got to cover that game. So Wemby coming with an absolute 0. The referees were just an absolute nightmare in Dallas. And that nails us with an 0 for 2 for the night. And so we're off to a poor start this week. My man Nick Easy says, keep your head up. It's only one way to keep it, my man. We don't sweat it. We just thought it's going to eat into our profit at the end of the season. Again, Monday, Tuesday, 0 for 4 now. Add it all up. it's 7.7 units. And while that sucks, just keep in mind we won 8 units in NBA just Sunday. So we'll keep punching along. We'll give you guys a little NBA rundown. Tonight, 7 games, 7-game card. Wanted to talk a little bit about yesterday also. Orlando Knicks. This Knicks team, man, they look like they can be so good at sometimes, and then they lay down some other times. So you're playing an Orlando team that hangs its hat on D, and the Knicks went absolutely off last night. $121. I think that's the highest the Magic have given up since one of the second or third game they gave up something like that. Magic have been just locking teams down. So the Knicks will move on. Hawks had already locked up their group. Milwaukee locked up their group. And Orlando, even though they lost, they'll move on with their group. They had to lose by a ton more and to catch the wild card. And that was part of the thinking with the Magic game, that they pretty much were going to be locked in to that wild card game, not meaning as much to them. Yes, they want to win. Yes, they want that home court. Same kind of scenario with Dallas. Dallas could not win, and they were pretty much locked into that wild card. You could see in the beginning part of the game, it just looked like that. All they had to play was to not lose by 20. And that was also what made me lean to Memphis. Memphis had been playing good ball. But again, you don't want to beat that dead horse. But 14 free throws to 44. Chances are you're going to lose 99% of those games. The game we stayed off was Houston and Sacramento. We talked about it yesterday, how just a letdown spot. Houston coming off that win at home against the Thunder. They had already locked up their spot in the tournament. Sacramento just needed a W. I just could not pull the trigger on Sacramento. They did get Huter back. He came off the bench. They left Monk in the starting lineup. For you prop guys, he ate into Sabonis's assists. I think Monk had a dozen assists in the starting lineup, and you'll look at that's a high number, but look for him to eat a little bit into those Sabonis assists if he stays in the starting lineup. We will see if they'll flip-flop Buter and Monk. I know they won last night. I like Monk coming off the bench, that sixth man role where he can give you some buckets off the bench. That was it. Clippers did what they had to do at Portland. Denver does what they do every time they play Golden State, it seems. They beat them, but they didn't cover. So 8 straight wins Denver now has over the Warriors, but just 4-4 against the spread. OKC demolished Utah. OKC, you got to be careful against them. This team is solid. They can beat anybody on any given night. And some guys they can crush. They wanted to win big last night to move on, and they have also in the Western Conference win their group, and they buried Utah just as they would. Got to see what happens with KD. KD leaving that game could be another real bad break for Phoenix. These guys, it's the same story. It's the same guys every year. They're like fucking paper mache. I mean, they're constantly injured. You can't be one of the best players if you're constantly injured. You're in the lineup. You're out of the lineup. Good day, Ginger. Good day, Jason. How you guys doing? Paul George, yep, that's what we were waiting for, guys. Paul George out for the 76ers tonight, and we kind of figured that if you're looking at that line, if you're looking at the Massa Edge numbers, the ratings, you would see I've got Orlando 3.5 points better on the road than Philly at home. But now you're going to see this number fly up. Paul George, who's recently come back, played last night, 37 minutes, kind of figured he was going to sit tonight. So we'll see what Orlando does. Just a tough spot for Orlando also. They've been red hot on fire, and they just have a letdown game against the Knicks. Last night, do they get back up? If you guys remember, we had the Orlando Magic On November 15th in Orlando, when they were playing the Phillies, we took the Sixers did have their squad for that game. We took the Magic +3. Magic turned out to be a 2.5-point favorite. We knocked them off, I think, by a dozen. That was only their second win in the last 16 meetings with Philadelphia. I'm just checking on some info, guys. So, yeah, that's our top game. Orlando at Philly. PG, he's going to be out today. Had a nice game yesterday. Would expect everybody else to play for Philly, but, they don't want to hurt him. Embiid, Nurse says he's doubtful that he'll play, so we'll see how that goes. I'm looking at 5 and 5.5 on this game now, which if you take my 3.5 and that number, add in Paul George going to be out, you're going to get 5.5 to 6. Detroit Pistons go to Boston. What is Detroit going to do after getting smoked at Milwaukee? If you guys saw my post yesterday, the Bucks don't lose in Detroit. 13 straight 8-4-1 against the spread in Detroit. They just don't lose there. Obviously, but that's a different Piston team. Milwaukee straightening themselves out. Now that's 7 straight wins. We'll talk about them. They got a game tonight. Pistons, they kind of hit it a little bit. Looked like they were on the upheaval. Cunningham in out of the lineup had a decent game yesterday, but they've now dropped 6 of their last 8. You're going to get up against Boston. Boston 8-1 their last 9 games. They just won a game against the Miami Heat. Miami Heat has got home revenge. They're a 10-point favorite. DraftKings now posting Magic as 6. By the way, the Celtics have the Heat in Boston. Heat, a double-digit dog, with coming in with playoff revenge. And granted, they got no Jimmy Butler. But Celtics were going to be without both bigs, Porzingis and Horford. Holiday out. Hauser, to a lesser extent, one of their rotation guys out. All those guys out, no problem. Fucking destroy Heat by 20. Luke Cornett, really? 6 blocked shots. Luke Cornett going in there, throwing shades of Bill Russell in the Boston Guard. Are you fucking kidding me? So they had a day. Celtics today, who will they sit? Holiday missed the last game. He said Porzingis and Horford will be back. They sat out just because they're not playing back-to-back games. That's all that injury management bullshit. Hauser was a personal day off. Expect him back. So we'll just be looking for Holiday, and now they say Tatum questionable. They mark Tatum questionable also for that Heat game, but he did play. Lakers, Miami. Again, another couple of injuries here. As I just mentioned, for Miami, Jimmy Butler did not play in that last game. He's going to be questionable again today. Both teams 4th and 6th, by the way. And when I say 4th and 6th, that's 4th different city in the last 6 days. Both coming off a loss. Lakers were at Mini in this last loss. They were shorthanded. Reeves was out. And he's going to be questionable again today. And as I mentioned, Jimmy Buckets, he's going to be questionable for Miami. Lakers have lost their last 4 trips into Miami, but have covered 2 of the 4. Again, need to know if Butler's in or out. The number you're seeing right now, 2 or 2.5, depending on your book, it's what I call an in-between number. My numbers, if you look at my ratings, would have Miami Heat 3 points better at home than the Lakers are on the road. But that's with Jimmy Butler in the lineup. If Jimmy's not in the lineup, then obviously it's going to be closer to 1 or pick in that area. So they've got it in the middle. They've got it too. Shouldn't Jimmy Butler be fully rested? He should be fully rested, but he missed the last game due to an injury, not because he was rested. He missed the game in Boston. Jimmy Butler had to be hurt to not go for playoff revenge in Boston. So he did not play. He's a legitimate question mark today. Indiana, Brooklyn. Indiana cannot win on the road. What a different Indiana team this is from last year. Not that I still had a big home road disparity for Indiana, but this is just a different team. They don't have the depth that they had last year. They got off to a great start a couple of nights ago in Memphis and wound up getting pounded. They go up to Toronto smashing them. They're going to be back-to-back now going into Brooklyn. Brooklyn has won 5 of the last 6 meetings in Brooklyn, but just 2-4 against the spread. Let's see who's playing for Brooklyn. So we already know Cam Thomas is out. He's been out for a while. Clowney has been out. Zaire Williams is going to be out. He found a little place in the rotation with all these injuries. And Dorian Finney-Smith, he's missed the last couple of games. He's going to be questionable. Cam Johnson, he's questionable. So a bunch of question marks here. To me, if Brooklyn could get some guys healthy and get them in the game, I could be Brooklyn. But they got to get some healthy guys. Simmons missed the last game. I would expect him to play. Cam Johnson, an absolute question mark. Same as Dorian Finney-Smith. So we'll have to wait for those. As far as Pacers, Nembhard's come back and played the last couple of games. Hasn't played more than 20 minutes. He's been limited. Will they play him back-to-back? So we'll wait and see on that one. Atlanta Hawks, Milwaukee Bucks. Again, Bucks coming off a big win for them. This is what we call a sandwich spot. So on one end, last night, they pummel the Pistons and they move on for the NBA Cup. Who's next? Boston Celtics. That's their measuring stick. That's when Doc Rivers won a championship. Boston Celtics. This is a sandwich spot. Does Giannis even play after playing last night? Now, the only reason I give him a shot, it was such a blowout. I believe he logged under 30 minutes. I'm going to say 28 minutes. Let me just hit that up one more time, guys. Giannis, 28 minutes. Lillard, 32. Lopez, 33. Nobody played more than that. So not an overly taxing game and pretty much a cruise control game for Milwaukee. But does Giannis play? Or do you sit him in the back-to-back and get ready for Boston? This is Atlanta or nobody. They split 2 meetings in Milwaukee last year. Atlanta won by 17 at Milwaukee. The Hawks playing their best ball of the season right now. They've won 4 straight. Hadn't won 4 straight since January of last year. 3-1 against the spread. They're only non-cover. We had Charlotte Hornets against them at plus, I believe it was +6. On Saturday, they won by 3. They didn't cover. So again, Giannis, possibility to sit out tonight. You got a sandwich game for Milwaukee. My rating makes it much higher, but I'm having no interest in Milwaukee. And that's why I want you guys, especially my members, you've got to know what also I think about the game besides just the ratings. The ratings are the starting point, but you got to understand what this is going on.
Have you been watching my story every day?
Give me one sec, guys. Sorry, guys, you're going to have to give me a sec.
If you have, then you know I've been crushing the...
Okay, so last game on the card tonight is going to be Minnesota T-Wolves at the Clippers. These teams just played in Minnesota. Minnie comes away with a 1-point win. They've won the last 3 times they've gone into LA. Remember, prior to this year, that was where the Clippers shared the Lakers home court. They have not been in the Intuit building yet. The Clippers' brand new $2 billion home. This will be their first trip there. As I said, Clippers here, same scenario with Paul George, with Giannis. Clippers played last night. They just got Powell back. Powell, 2 games, he's looked great. 30 points last night, I believe, 11 for 15 shooting. Do they play him back-to-back? Now, there is no travel for the Clippers, so this is a game I'll keep my eye on. If I knew Powell was in, I'd be on Clip +3 right now. Clip is 8-2 their last 10, playing really good basketball. T-Wolves have won their last couple, and that was over a Laker team that was a little short-handed in a back-to-back, and a 1-point win over the Clippers. They just haven't seemed to get it straightened out yet. Again, the big question mark, Powell, will they send him out there in a back-to-back? We already know Paul George will not be sent out in the back-to-back today. Going to wait on the info on Giannis to see if he plays. Obviously, Giannis is a huge difference to the number. You'll see that game go to pick if Giannis does not play. And I'll open it up for questions for the NBA before we go any further. If anybody's got something, I'd really like to get more guys getting in here. Mo Money took that info on the no bigs and altered Tatum rebounds to 10, 12.5. Best info out there. Way to go, Mo Money. And guys, that's why just listening, you'll get information for you. You guys, you might be prop bettors. I don't do props, but as I talk about the game, you will pick up plenty of stuff. Nobody gives more information, and I'm talking about real information. How the game's getting played. We talk about Monk starting, how that's going to affect Sabonis' assists instead of coming off the bench. Okay, not many other questions. I'm going to give you guys one football game for Saturday. You've got 4 conference championships. I cover the 4 conferences, the ACC, the Big 10, the Big 12, and SEC. I don't cover any of these Mickey Mouse conferences. Ohio, Miami, Ohio. Good. Let every handicapper, let some of the handicappers tell me the front line for any of these teams. Tell me what you know about. You're an expert. Tell me what you know on Rhode Island and Mercer. You're going to give out games on these all fucking teams. Tell me what you know about these teams. I'll tell you what I know about Iowa State. Iowa State, number 3 in the country in pass defense. ASU is going to be without one of the nation's top wide receivers in Tyson. 75 receptions, 1,101 yards, 10 TDs. The entire team has 22 passing TDs. So now you take him out of the mix, and you're going to have an already good Iowa State team. Not good. A great Iowa State pass defense. Won't have to pay as much attention to everybody else. And you can now key on Scatterbo, who to me is the engine of this offense. Scatterbo, 1,398 yards, 17 touchdowns. Love Levitt. He's been great all year. Arizona State really coming from the depths of nowhere. Picked as one of the worst teams in the Big 12. Chance to win the conference championship. But without Tyson, without one of your top receivers, going against one of the best pass defenses in the country, my ratings have got Iowa State the favorite. We took this game yesterday at +2. I'll be looking at a few of these other games. We talked a little bit about them. Georgia, Texas. Remember, guys, all these games are all neutral site games. So this isn't because if you see Iowa State on top against Arizona State. So this is Arizona State is the 1 seed for all given purposes, but they're not at Arizona State. This game getting played in Arlington, Texas. And then we've got the Georgia-Texas game. Again, not a home game for Texas. They're actually playing in Atlanta, Georgia, not University of Georgia, not their home field, but the what used to be the Georgia Dome. I don't know what they call it now, but so they'd be playing in Georgia. So not a full home court advantage for the Bulldogs, but certainly not Texas, not the favorite. Now, what Texas does have going for them, if you guys remember earlier in the season, Georgia does go into Texas and puts a fucking whoop ass on the Longhorns in their home field. Going to be tough to do that twice. It just is. I've got really no feel on this game. Georgia 8 overtimes. How much? 8 overtimes. Not 1, not 2. 8 overtimes against G-Tech. How much does that affect them going into the Texas game? But Texas, yours not 100% healthy, and we can see that. Does another Manning make a show? So we'll have to see in that game. Clemson, SMU, again, opening line on this one was Clemson won, and SMU getting all the money in this one. And look at SMU's schedule. Look at their strength of schedule. I'm not overly bowled over by their strength of schedule. They do what they had to do. They're in the championship game. But, man, Clemson's been in these games before. Dabo Sweeney's been there before. And I got to have Clemson a little bit of favorite. But, hey, while this line is going. So let me explain this to my guys here. When the number's sitting 2.5, they go, why don't we take 2.5 before it moves? Because if there is a chance it goes to 3, I will risk taking 2 as opposed to 2.5 with the possibility of taking 3. 3 is a real number. So I'll give up the chance at 2.5. Clemson and nobody. If the game goes to 3, we're going to want to hit Clemson in that one. Again, that's a game being played in Charlotte, North Carolina. That's a neutral field. If there's any edge, Clemson a little closer than SMU. Penn State, Oregon. And that's the final game. This game gets played in Indianapolis. So, again, as far as travel advantage, Penn State, Oregon, if you guys know your geography, top northwest part of the country, Penn State right next to Indiana. Give Penn State a little bit of an advantage there. Oregon been number 1 all year. They're only undefeated. They've been number 1 lately in the polls. But carrying that undefeated, that tends to wear on a team. Remember, they didn't get it done in their conference championship last year against Washington. Penn State beats everybody except Ohio State. And Ohio State beats everybody except Michigan. I just feel, give me more than a field goal in this one. Again, this game's sitting at 3.5. To me, it's Penn State or nobody. What do you got for me, guys? What can I answer? The last question was, Ginger, shouldn't Jimmy Butler be fully rested? You guys are not inquisitive, or you just don't want to talk about anything, or so we didn't even make it to 100 viewers today. That's weak. I did give you my college football. No sense to going any further than that. We're less than 100 guys here. I'm back here each weekday, 11 a.m. Eastern. Best sports bet information you're going to get anywhere. But you got to get me out there, guys. Like, comment, retweet. I asked that for yesterday. I think I got 8 or 9 likes and retweets and maybe 30 likes and then 8 or 9 comments and retweets. And that's just not going to get it done. Because like I says, I've got paying members, can't give you the same information that I give them when you're not even giving me the courtesy of a fucking like. So anyway, we'll see what you guys got for me on today's live. Hope you do a little better, and we'll be back tomorrow.